Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Discovery Channel. And my long lost cousin, Rocky Messing, is joining us. Rocky's been on a tour of Europe and the subcontinent. Actually, he's been touring the United States for the last 2 months, following music bands around.
I have. I have.
Yeah,
See, counting crows, hit
there
them
you
a little
go.
bit.
Counting crows. There
Yeah.
you go. Um, so great to talk to you again. Great to see you again. I've been in your prolonged absence. I've been doing a series of interviews with people about AI, which has been really interesting to get different perspectives from people who work in different parts of our space. Um, and it kind of culminated in going to ILTACon, um,
Yeah.
where I
How
was.
was that?
It was well, first of all, as always, it was great in terms of the people. For me, it's a great group of people. It's an energetic group of people who work in our space, because it's really a user group of IT people and backroom people, some litigation support people, not so many lawyers. You're dealing with people who have real hands-on in the trenches experience. So you
Yep.
just have some great discussions, not just at the personal level, because there's that. It's a very collegial group, um, but also, you have some just really great discussions. Um, uh, 4,000 plus attendees, biggest
Yeah.
crowd I've ever seen at that show. Um, so from
And
that perspective,
and they were even willing to brave the DC humidity and mugginess. That's impressive. So
yeah, you know, because it's in DC. Well, it's not in DC, of course, as you know.
right outside.
It's
Yep.
in National Harbor, which is technically in Maryland. Um, but yeah, it wasn't that well. Of course, for me, it was like, oh, it's 68% humidity. I need a sweater. you know, like,
Exactly.
I'm coming from 90 land, so it was noticeable. But again, because it's on the river, the Potomac, at night it cools off. You get a nice breeze. Um, I didn't find it all that bad. Some
Yeah.
people were complaining. Um,
And unfortunately, I did not get to attend this year and do our normal custom of the cigars on the lawn out there overlooking
yes,
the river.
so I had to go
So,
outside and smoke three in memory
thank
of
you.
you and your
Thank
brother
you.
Shimmy to make up for it. Yeah, I
I
did.
know it was a sacrifice for you,
It
but
was
we
awful. It
appreciate
was
that.
awful, but I had to take one for the team. I did have a wonderful dinner with Judge Faciola. I stayed over in Alexandria, which I
As you normally do. Yep.
yeah, and he lives there, so we had dinner one night. It was great. Um, and although he doesn't smoke cigars, we did have a wonderful gelato afterwards at his favorite gelato shop. But in addition to that, it was also a really good time where uh, AI, of course, was everywhere. That's great, but it was an excellent show in terms of AI across the business of the firm. So how people were incorporating AI into document management, into time and billing, into their contact management, into in the litigation world, into document review. And we'll circle back to your thoughts on that in a second. But so it wasn't a silo of e-discovery and
Right.
um, and AI. In fact, that was sort of off to the side. Um, and it was really about the overall impact of how AI can be used in lots of different ways across the law firm, which I thought was great. It was
Yep.
for the first time a truly comprehensive look at what AI is doing as a tool. And of course, part of that, my second thing we'll come back to in a moment, is how what Microsoft is doing in that space. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you today about was the overall use of AI, where it's going. Um, if there was one other thing that was true, though, and of course this is true of ILTACon, um, ILTA tends to be the ILTA members tend to be big firm corporations, some government agency. They weren't too well represented because in the current regime they had no budget
No
for that if they
budget.
even had a
Yep.
job. So we didn't see that much government agency representation. Um, but as always, not very much small firm solo representation. That's just the nature of that group.
Yeah, you're gonna go to tech show if you really want that. So
Yeah, you're going to
yeah.
go to tech show if you want a headache.
Separate
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, but no, you're right. There's other venues that are more focused on smaller firms, um, and so that that wasn't that surprising. But I wanted to get your take on where AI is going for a couple of reasons. One, of course, your background at Equivio before it was swallowed by the Borg, um, subsumed by Microsoft, and then your work internally at Microsoft to help build out what Equivio had done there. Um, and and now at Altorney, of course, you've leveraged AI, and I'm interested in hearing a little bit about how that works. Um, so I think you've got a unique perspective on AI, and how it's morphed from when you were starting years ago in the business to what we're doing now. And uh, last but not least, we just discussed quickly. You were at the Solid meeting on the Microsoft campus in early August, and so I guess my overall question is, um, what about the rest of us? We've segued from e-discovery for the rest of us to what about AI for the rest
Yeah,
of
for the rest of us.
you know
Yeah. Time for a
FRCP.
new book.
Say what?
Time for a new book.
Well, it's funny you should say that. It should be going to the printer next week.
Awesome.
If maybe not this week. We've been working on one. Um, that's been a real problem as we've tried to get into the nest of what is AI. It's just been, oh, should we go down this tunnel? Should we go down that tunnel? How do you sort it all out, because there is so much to it. But you can expect a new book on the subject. Yeah, probably um, sometime in September. I don't know how
That's
quick.
awesome.
Once it goes to the printer, I don't know how quick they get it out, but it's
Yeah.
coming. I'll let you know for
Cool.
sure. Um,
Awesome.
but you know, FRCP one, as you know, Federal Rule of Civil Procedure says all the proceedings in federal courts should be just, speedy, and inexpensive. And we may have just, that's up for grabs.
Yeah.
We certainly in the world of AI and computers these days have speedy, but we definitely don't have inexpensive. And I know that's a relative term, and I'm just curious on your take. Is, as always with technology, it starts off big, only the big firms can afford it, um, and then it'll come down dramatically. I'm reminded with AI in our space of OCR, which started off big and clunky and expensive and not too good, to something that now everybody just takes secondhand. It's
Right.
natural. Is Microsoft pushing the bus that way, to where it's just going to be part of the not even part of the discussion? It's just going to be part of the, here's what we do.
Yeah, it's inherent in everything. I mean, if you look at their direction and what they've been doing overall in terms of applications, in terms of platform, um, AI is the backbone of everything, and they've made the bet from a company standpoint that that's where things are and things are going. And at least if you look at their stock price, it seems to be paying off so far. But there's a lot of question
Again, in
around.
today's current regime, I try not to look at stock prices, because
Probably a good idea.
every
Smart.
time I do, I'm losing. I've lost my shirt. I've lost my undershirt. I think they're going to start peeling my skin off next. But
Yeah. That's the pound of flesh they're coming for.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I think it's the goal there is that AI should not be something that you have to go to or something that you have to decide, okay, now I'm going to use AI. But rather it's there. It's kind of in the background of everything. It's even when you're writing a document, and that when spell check now is utilizing AI in different ways. And like, I mean, just, suggestions and modifications, everything across the board, analysis, it's just inherent in what you're doing. When you want to create a new spreadsheet now, it'll ask you what type of spreadsheet are you trying to do, and then instead of going from a template, it asks you to actually describe what you're trying to create.
Right.
So,
Right.
things like that where it's just the baseline now is AI, and that's not where only if I mean of course they do have their licensing and they're going to try to take whatever money they can get out of it. But it's in all of the products no matter what basically, and what level you get is a different story.
Right.
um, and just to touch on the Solid conference, David Cowan did an incredible job of bringing together a lot of people, especially. So one of the nice things about this one that they did, a lot of these conferences or of the smaller conferences, especially, you have the same people over and over again. Here, what they did was said anyone who's attending should bring a plus one.
Oh,
So
nice.
someone who hasn't
Great idea.
been.
Great idea.
Yeah. And so you had a third of the audience who'd never been to any of these types of an e-discovery conference
And
even
was
at
it on the
all.
campus?
So, and I think that was part of the draw, obviously, was the fact that it was on Microsoft campus in the visitor center there. You were able to, they did a tour of campus, people got to see the cyber
Is there a
incident response.
plaque for Gail out in one of the meadows? Because when she was
Where,
growing up, she grew up
yep,
just up the
right
hill
over
from
there.
there, and
Yep.
I think I've told you they used to go down to the what was just fields. Microsoft was still building out down on the highway, down by
Yep.
the what they call the old bridge, the UW bridge. Um, and so they hadn't started up there, and all the high school kids used to go down there and pick magic mushrooms. That was,
I wouldn't be surprised if you could still find a couple of those
oh,
hidden
I wouldn't either. And I just
away.
every time somebody mentions the Redmond campus, I have this picture of hundreds of high school kids from Redmond High
Getting high.
running
Yep.
through the fields, listening to, well, they wouldn't have listened to Fish back then. They'd be listening to the Dead,
Dead. Yep.
just laying in the fields.
Um, well, so what was interesting was I did not see the plaque for Gale, but
Yeah,
it was interesting to get new perspectives and really hear how people are thinking about AI. I was talking to one GC. So first of all, a lot of the people who came were not e-discovery people. They were GCs, AGCs,
right.
legal ops people who are not necessarily your normal David Cowan, crowd, which was really nice. But I was talking,
Hang on one sec. I'm
yeah,
gonna. The sun has come.
yeah, I was gonna say you're now getting that glow to you.
Wasn't the sun? It was my aura.
Aura, yes. Um, so this one GC I was talking to, we are talking about the impact of AI on his legal department within a corporation.
Right.
And he made a statement: AI will never be able to do what I do. And I looked at him like kind of like, okay, do I want to argue with you? How
Yeah.
far do I want, I just met the man. How far do I want to take this? And then he immediately corrected himself. And he said, AI will never be able to do what I do before I retire. And he was probably in his 60s. So I'm like, okay, yes, you might be right
You
that
might be
that
right. Yeah.
that in the next 3 years it may or may not get to that point.
Yeah.
But it's moving faster than anything that we've seen, any other technology, and not just in terms of the development of the technology, but the adoption, and
Yes.
not just the adoption by the big corporations and the big firms.
Okay.
You're seeing the adoption across the board. I mean, find me anyone who hasn't gone to either ChatGPT or Gemini or one of those, whatever your LLM of choice is in the last week, right? Even on the free versions, whatever it is, but people are using this. Now, are they using it in the ways that truly make them effective to the point where it should be able to make them effective and efficient? Not necessarily,
Maybe not
right?
yet,
Some
but
people
yeah,
are using it as a Google replacement, and we
right.
can discuss that because it's not. It's not a search engine,
Yeah,
right? It acts differently. Um, but everything from your standard litigation support person who would have gotten a load file and had to change the delimiters and modify the data, and it would have taken them 15 minutes in Ultra Edit or Notepad++ to go ahead, or Excel or whatever they were using to modify that.
yeah.
Throw it into ChatGPT, you tell it you want it to do, and 30 seconds later, you've got the result. And 99 out of 100 times, it's exactly what you want, right?
So let me interject there
Yep,
because I'm thinking that it's more like 70 times out of 100 you get what you want. And that's one of the problems that people are having. But how much of that is the prompt and how much of
that's
that is endemic
exactly.
to the, and I'll give you a great example, which is not the prompt.
Yeah,
As you know, I'm sure you've heard Kaylee Wallstead passed away the other day unexpectedly.
yeah,
Um, and I thought in some of the tributes we were doing to her in the business, I thought, I'd like to do a Mount Rushmore type picture with Kaylee and Ross Codner and Browning Marian and Gail. Okay,
yep,
four really big people in our business, from my perspective, um,
yep,
who we've lost. So I went to ChatGPT 5, which I use, and said, can I do this? Oh yeah, sure, of course. Of course we
yep,
can swallow that continent. Um, um, and that was great. And what I got back was, and I submitted 4 actual photographs. I didn't tell it to go out and find pictures of it.
yep.
I submitted 4 photographs. What I got back was a, a Mount Rushmore with Washington, Jefferson, and a male human being and a female human being. And what it had done was it had combined the pictures of Ross and Browning and
Right.
Gail
And
and
then Gail.
Kaylee and
Yeah,
put those on two of the images on Mount
yep.
Rushmore.
A
Now,
little disturbing, but yep.
yeah. So I replied in my nicest way to Chat GPT with WTF, um,
Yep.
and
Not
could
what I
never,
asked you to do. Right.
and it said immediately, oh yes, I see. I'm sorry. We combined the two male pictures and the two female pictures, and I said, I didn't think I needed to do a prompt that said one picture per head on the thing.
Right.
That's the sort of stuff that drives people crazy. Because if that
Yeah.
was a if
And
I was looking for some documents in a case, that would be
right. And I didn't have exactly the right prompt. And so okay, so that brings up a couple of points. Number one is uh we're getting to the era already where specific tools for specific tasks, right? And ChatGPT may not be the best for image manipulation and doing things like that. At times it can, but it may not be. So that's one point is
right.
is
And to your point
there's
about
no Swiss
Ilticon,
Army
that
knife here.
was really something else I saw was really specific use of AI for specific,
Yeah,
not just areas but tasks.
the
Yes,
task exactly. So that's and but there's also the area ones where you've got specific ones for specific industries and specific areas of thought.
right.
So that's number one. Number two, though, um, is the prompts matter, right? And the
All
tools
prompts matter.
today, huh? All prompts matter. Yes. Um, the tools today are getting better at being flexible, but they're still not totally flexible. And this was actually a big topic during the conference in Redmond was about guardrails, right? Putting the right guardrails on your prompts and what you're telling it to do, being very specific in telling it what to do. Don't be general. Don't assume that it's going to figure it out because sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. But if you you know, part of it is creating your own library of prompts that work, right? Your system prompts, your prompts that you're gonna always go back to and be able to just paste in with the changes of, okay, this is specifically what I want to do because I've already built out the methodology that I want to tell the large language model of what I want it to do. And it really does get pretty specific. And it raises the question, at least today, where the models sit where they are, right? How much of a prompt engineer should we expect your common attorney to be?
Yeah, well, don't expect it
Right.
to be, or her,
Right. Well,
because it's not going to happen, right?
or should we expect them to be? Meaning, if you're going to use these types of tools,
Good point.
right, which everyone today is, right? It's again, it's a tool. It's not a magic easy button that just, you know, magically reads your mind and figures out exactly what you want it to do in the way that you want to do it.
But that's what
You
attorneys
actually have to
want,
be really
Rocky.
specific. Huh?
Rocky, but that's what attorneys want. I want the easy button. I don't want
I
to have to
know they
think.
want it. Um,
That's
but
the
yeah,
pivot there,
but
right?
that's that's because of the point in adoption where we are, right? The tools are getting better, and the problem is that they're getting better to the point where a lot of the things do seem to be easy buttons, and you're beginning to see a lot of applications being developed where the LLMs are the back end of the application. And people are like, why do I need to pay for an application that does XYZ? Why not just use ChatGPT, or why not just throw it into Gemini or Anthropic or whatever else I want to use?
Yeah.
The
So
reason why you
let me
pay,
interject there. You just
yeah.
I feel like Groucho Marx. You just said the magic word, and down comes the bird. Um, the magic word is LLM. Um,
Yes.
of course, LLMs are designed with large document models in mind. Um, I have talked about, and I get kind of scoffed by some of the people in my space when I mention small language models. But that's something Microsoft has been interested in,
Mhm.
developed, has not just developed, has released
Yep.
um, for well over a year, maybe a year and a half. Um, will small language models help solve that problem at all?
Will they help solve that problem?
Trick question.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily. Yeah. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because it's still going to be based off of the input.
Right.
So the right input gets you the right results. The wrong input will maybe get you the right results.
Will small language models become more intrinsic, you think, in the Microsoft environment?
Yeah, only because you can design them specifically for very, very specific tasks,
Right.
and because they're more cost effective when it comes to storage and compute.
Right.
So, you know, that's one thing that we forget is that there's a cost to running these things,
Oh,
right?
we don't
I
forget
don't
it when the
remember
bill
what
comes in. Trust me.
I don't remember what the exact number was, but you know, there was the Sam Altman from OpenAI.
Yep.
If you remember, about 3 months ago, he made a somewhat joking plea to the general public of stop asking nicely. Don't say please and thank you, because every token, right? And a token isn't necessarily a single word, but it's every, well, I think the easiest for the purposes of this discussion, every element of a prompt that you put in or that comes out, right, has a cost, which is why they charge you based off of the number of tokens going in and
Yeah.
coming out of, if
And
you're
that's
paying
something
for it.
attorneys don't understand at all. The token, something that
Oh, 100%.
in the new book that we got coming out about AI uh, for the rest of us, I told the people that we had to emphasize that this isn't per gigabyte per month per user, the
Right.
same old pricing model. Tokens are a different way of pricing, and depending what's going on, it because different companies have different tokens. Like you said, it's
Correct.
not necessarily a
The
word; it
way
can
they
be a part of it.
establish
Yeah,
exactly.
Now, I did
And
see one of the small firm solutions that I saw at Ilticon was really interesting. Was they were pricing per prompt. Like you could put a prompt together, and they had a limit again because of the token
the
windows.
window size. Yep.
Yeah, but you know you could have up to about 15 or so phrases in your search, and then run it, and then they priced on that. And then if you wanted to run again, you know, if you culled it down and you wanted to run another, that was it. So
Yep.
but no per gigabyte, and then they had a
And
back end storage cost.
let's talk about something else there that you kind of hinted to, right? The limit of like 15 phrases or something, like 15 search terms or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
These technologies work differently than, for example, if DT search or something that's an index search that you are saying, okay, I'm giving you a list of here's 100 terms, and I want you to run each one and give me my exact results coming back from each one, right? These are deterministic and they think in a reasoning way,
yes,
which means that they're applying logic, kind of how a human mind applies logic to these things. If I give you a list of 10 terms to run, right? No paper allowed, no computer. I say, Tom, I want you to repeat back to me the following list of items that I'm about to give you. And I give you 10 items. Chances are you'll get the 10 if you paid attention and right.
well, I
Your
could go
ADD is not
five.
acting
I could
up
go five,
exactly.
maybe.
But if I give you a list of 100,
Oh,
right, chances are, unless you're got some kind of memory,
yes.
you've got
What do they
instant
call it?
recall in your memory.
You're an
But
autodidact. Is that the thing?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
chances are you're maybe you'll get most of them, maybe, but chances are you're gonna miss.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
same thing happens with when you prompt the LLMs. If you give it too much varying information, it'll at times it'll start forgetting what you actually asked it to. It'll miss things.
Interesting.
So part of it, again, when you start talking about why should I pay for an application versus using something for free, is because of those guardrails. And it's putting
Because it
in the
works better.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
right. But it might be something as simple as taking what you think should be done as a prompt and doing it over the course of 8 prompts.
Right.
Okay, splitting it up in the right
Put it up.
way in order to be able to properly make sure that it's not going to forget anything.
Okay.
And that gets tricky. It's not easy to build things, and that's what again, there's a cost to running the LLMs, right? There's that cost of you know the actual compute power, right? So every time you put in the word please and thank you, there's a cost to that, right? It
Right.
might only be a fraction of a fraction of a penny to add those words, but there's still a cost in electricity and compute and everything else. Um, and then there's also the element of if you want it to be guaranteed to be right as a product, right? There's a lot of effort that goes in, a lot of dev time, a lot of research in how to get that right. And that's what you're paying for. You're not necessarily paying for the fact that I'm submitting something to an LLM.
Good
You're
point.
paying for all the guidance around it to make sure that it's being done correctly. So when we start talking about big firm, small firm, solo practitioner, 10 law firm, 10 attorney firm, and can I afford to do these types of things? So a lot of the products right now are being priced out of the range of a small firm, right? It
Yeah.
has to be because there's so much research and so much development going into some of these that it makes it hard. Now, if I want to spend the right time and build something myself, could I? Absolutely. It's democratizing. AI is truly democratizing technology because I can go ahead and I can build an app if I need to by just telling it what I want it to do. And it might take me 30 revisions of telling it, okay, I didn't want it like this, I want it like this, and I want to change this. But it'll do all the code for you where you don't have to actually know how to code in order to do these types of things. if I want to build something that will always take a load file and manipulating it from a, let's go back in time, from a concordant stat file to a summation DII file, guess what? That was a pain to do. And there were like two tools that had been built that could do that kind of transformation. Now, with the right instructions, that with a little trial and error, I can build that myself to be able to actually just go ahead and drop those files in every time and get the result out on the other end.
Yeah.
So, all of this is to say that the technology is still to some degree expensive because of the fact that we're still so early in the game, right?
Right.
Where it's hard to make it not expensive, to make it truly affordable, right? But that doesn't mean it can't be used. The same technology can't be used by smaller firms, just not necessarily buying it from the productized version. You may need to build something yourself, but that means spending the time to do it. Now, is it worth it to you to do that, to spend the time? It depends.
Depends. Yeah.
If it's going to take you 20 hours for the next 3 weeks each week to build it, but it's going to save you 500 hours over the course of the next year, absolutely, right? But
So
do I have those 20 hours to spend?
do you want to do that, or do you have the time to do that? So
Right.
what? And then this is of course complete conjecture. What's your sense on the timeline? Like you said, we're so early in this. I've had several other technical people at Ilticon when I asked this question about how long till we see that play out, more efficiencies, lower costs. They were saying 18 to 24 months. Um, that it's going to be a couple of years. And I think they were hedging on the high side, um, because, of course, who knows? Um,
Right.
as I said, I was heartened by seeing some small firm specific tools popping up, and I'll be really curious to see what show up at Legal Week
Yeah.
in
I,
January.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, I don't even know necessarily by legal week, but I'd say by ILTA next year,
Ah.
you're going to see a lot more.
Okay.
Uh, I think again, things are happening a lot faster than they ever did,
Yeah.
right? And I do think that you're starting to see the cost of these tools come down. In the space where I generally play on the doc review analysis, case analysis side, you're already seeing things come down by half of where they were a year ago.
So let's
Um,
let's go there, and I'll be mindful of your time because
yeah.
you and I could talk about this all day, of course, um, and I'm sure everybody would love to hear us talk about it because
I'm
they're as
sure.
enamored by the sound of our voices as we are. So how did Alt Attorney use AI? So you're an actual use case. What did you
Yep. Yeah.
do to improve your process and make it cheaper?
Yep. So
You did make
we
it
took
cheaper.
a couple of approaches to ensure that it was going to be cost effective.
Yeah.
Number one is we are using, instead of the OpenAI's Gemini, Anthropic, the third party online
Yeah.
tools that most people are using. We're using local LLMs, so open source LLMs that get downloaded to hardware within your environment. We manage those, we configure them for you, but there's no token cost. The only thing that there is compute cost.
Is it what
So that
cost?
compute. So meaning it's machine time as opposed, which there's still a cost. However, comparatively, it's a whole lot cheaper to when you're just doing it, managing it on your own hardware, and that own hardware can still be in the cloud, so you're not having to invest $150,000 in
Right.
a super, heavy duty computer. You're able to basically rent it by the hour or by the fraction of the hour even to be able to run what you need to run.
And there
So
are ample open source
there are we
tools that you
we
can
tend
avail
to
yourself.
yeah, we tend to actually use one of the more popular ones, which is called Llama, which is by Meta, the wonderful owners of Facebook. But by using it in the way that we're doing it, it also allows you to keep all the data internal because that data doesn't have to go to the third party provider. It's only running on your hardware with no outside access and no way to go outside. So that data it stays within that environment, whether you're helping to build the model further, and then you're just keeping your own customized model within your environment, or you're taking the model, you run it, and then when you're done, you blow it away and it's gone. So that data never actually lives anywhere to be able to quote unquote teach the model anything further, which thereby you lose the fact that the model continues to improve, but it's you don't run any of the AI risk from like your ethics committee or your governance committee of saying what is being done with our data and is it being used to improve someone else's model.
Is that a
So
selling point for you? Because I get that objection to AI from attorneys all the time.
yeah, so
Yeah.
absolutely that our selling points are basically faster, cheaper, and better. That
That's all?
which that's it.
Come
It's
on.
that simple. But the beauty is that in today's AI world, that can actually happen. You can actually get a end result from a AI review that is better than a team of attorneys looking at data. And what that allows you to do, and you're able to do it at a fraction of the cost. I mean, we just finished another POC with a corporate client where they ran it again, in a test case, and they found they saved 62% off their discovery costs. That's
At the
significant.
review level.
Huh?
Uh,
At the review and case prep level.
Yeah.
So
Because,
that's
I'm preaching to the choir here, as you know, review is the biggest single line item in any
cost. Yep.
e-discovery project by a huge amount. Yeah.
But now think about it this way. So if we're able to do that and cut those costs that much
Right.
and do it more consistently and faster, right? Then all of a sudden, a small 10-person firm that could never afford to go up against someone because I can't afford to have one of my associates managing a review team for 2 months in order to get through this large document population. All of a sudden, you can do that same thing in 2 days with minimal involvement. The other piece, which ties back to what we discussed in the beginning of our chat today, is we actually take away, we don't let the attorneys prompt. So we never actually give them a window where we're saying, okay, type in what you're looking for or give instructions to the computer. That's again part of what we've done on the back end, and all of our research and time has gone into how do we enable the attorneys to not have to actually provide instructions. Instead, we take an approach where we say, give us the facts. Give us your pleadings. Give us your complaints, your counterclaims, your subpoenas, your email from a user to HR that hey, Tom keeps harassing me, make him stop, right? Whatever I've got, drop it in and let us figure out how to build out the
Ah,
prompts
okay.
of it and pull out the facts. And then what we do, but we still need the human in the loop. You still,
Yeah, yeah.
you at least today, you can't fully rely on it getting everything right in terms of, especially because a lot of times there's information that's sitting in an attorney's head that isn't sitting in any of the documentation. So what we do is then we prepare a Word doc that they can then look over and edit as needed in order to be able to modify things. Hey, we, changed the start date of the discovery period because we negotiated a later date or something like that, which wouldn't necessarily appear in the documentation, but they can just go ahead, quickly edit that, resubmit it, and the system picks it up and says, "Oh, okay, I get it. Now I know what to do." And the again, it's about how do we make it easy for the attorneys?
Right.
How do we make it not scary for the attorneys? Because again, like you said, a lot of times they're putting in prompts and they're getting so-so results, right? The 70% of the time it works correctly. Well, as a product, I can't have it being 70%,
Right.
right? And even as a user, I shouldn't be happy with 70%, but do I have the time to learn how to make it where I know that it'll be 99% right all the
Yeah.
time?
There was a case we
So,
reported on yesterday in our monthly case law webinar where the
yep.
judge said the judge ordered some use of computers in an analysis that I want 95% accuracy. I want you to certify it's going to be 95% good. 70% isn't cutting it for me.
Is right. Or 85%, which was
Yeah.
kind of the old go-to when it came to predictive coding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But how do I do that? How do I make sure that that's going to be done right? Today, that means taking it out of the hands of the attorneys as much as possible,
Yeah.
right? Don't make them sit and build out the prompts because they're not going to get it right. I mean, some might get it right,
Yeah.
and some might be really good, and almost every one of them can learn how to do it right. But is that the best use of their time today? It could be, it could be over time, and especially as the younger attorneys who now are coming into the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. But that's where you sit there. And are you getting buy-in on that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's what's
And
heartening for me to
so
hear is that
right, it's
attorneys are listening
resonating.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's resonating. So I don't want to make this into an advertisement, but the I think the lessons here are key, right? It's obviously yes, use Altorney, blah 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 blah, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is that the tools are getting better and better, but they have to be used correctly and they have to have the right guardrails on them. If you put the right guardrails on them, they will be as effective as the 99% of the time effective rate.
Okay.
But you gotta be able to do it right, and not everyone, at least today, is able to do it right all the time.
So
So
the second lesson there is right now, with few exceptions, the attorneys probably need a Sherpa, right, to help them get up Mount Everest, and
a,
that's
cons-
you. That's
a,
Altorney. That's
right,
Rocky.
whether it be from a technology standpoint, meaning the tech is being the Sherpa and helping you along, or using consultants and people who really
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah.
or or using the tech itself. How many, have you ever said, "Hey, ChatGPT, what prompt should I use to do XYZ? Here's what I want to do, but tell me a good prompt to use." And then revise that prompt, make it even better,
Right.
right? Resubmit it, right? Those that actually works,
That's a
right? You
great
can go
idea.
ahead
Yeah. No,
and
I haven't done that. That's a great idea. Yeah.
yeah. So use the technology to help you improve how you use the technology. So, yep.
Great. All right. Well, Rocky, as always, great talking to you. Very insightful because, um, like I said, this ILTA was the first time I've been excited about widespread hands-on usefulness of AI, and then hearing you
Yep.
describe what you're doing at Altorney and how that's actually working out is also of interest. Because as you know, our databases are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're just getting swamped
Yep.
with databases, and we need to be able to cut through that review time as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible. But I
Absolutely.
like your emphasis on this puts it in the hands of the small firms who can leverage, which is how they've always used technology to leverage
Yep.
to be able to play
To
um,
play on the
in
big
the big
playing field.
sandbox. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly,
Exactly.
exactly. All right. Well, so when will we see you stateside again? Will you be at Relativity Fest?
So, unfortunately, this year I am not going to make it to Relativity Fest due to a scheduling conflict.
Okay.
I was hoping on being able to do Relativity Fest and then EDI, but unfortunately, I'm not going to make it to either one. I will be stateside, but more for personal to see some more concerts in December,
I'm
and
sorry, in December.
catch a Ravens game while I'm at it. But then I think the next work event for is probably going to be Legal Week
Legal
in this.
Week at the Javits Center. Yeah.
Yep,
Um, okay. That's going to be interesting.
it will be interesting.
Uh,
So we will see.
It's just
Um,
now we can't just easily walk to the Carnegie Club. That's the biggest
it's going
problem.
to be a problem,
Well,
but
no, call
yeah,
Mr. Uber.
we will deal. We will deal.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again. I appreciate your time. Always enjoy talking to you. Um, and hopefully we'll see you in December. I'll try to see what my schedule is like. Although I don't, well, who knows? I don't know.
yeah, we'll see. Uh,
Everything down here revolves around hurricanes and aftermaths of hurricanes. And
exactly. Well,
knock on
hopefully
wood, we've
it'll
had a
be so
yeah,
far so good this season, and
yes,
hopefully, but we're heading into the danger zone. So,
yeah.
but let's see how we do.
We'll see what
Um,
happens. Well,
and yeah, and then hopefully, I think as we have discussed, we will be getting back to our regularly scheduled broadcasts
yes,
sometime in the near future.
yeah.
So,
Once we get
yeah,
past Labor Day, I'll circle back to you and we'll tee some more
sounds
up.
great.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks
great.
again, Rocky. Best of the family and be safe over there.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, that was good.